Hey everybody. Unlucky Friday for y'all. Y'all are stuck with me, but you get Raz, so you're in good hands. Chop couldn't make it, so I was gonna fill in here today, just kind of let Raz do his thing. I'm gonna concede to him on most anything baseball. So, how you doing today?
I am doing good. Still a little scrambled from our switch over for notes.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything takes a little bit longer. There's more bouncing around, more having to save and scroll, and it's going to take me a bit to get used to.
I got a little bit last year during the NFL playoffs of it, but um, yeah, it's different. I still couldn't, like I said, get my stack names in. Maybe that'll be fixed, but yeah, it takes a little bit longer. But you know, short some upside. Let's see.
Yeah, my complaints are just in the back end, so it's
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Anything worrying you about weather today?
I don't have any direct worries. There's so much potential risk in a lot of games. So there's nothing that stands out, but I do want to try to find some updates on, you know, half of the slate as far as timing wise.
Yeah,
I just don't want to get caught with my pants down with a pitcher and all of a sudden one of those games pop with delays 3 or 4 innings in. Um, especially on a 13 game slate where I don't feel like the pitching is, I don't know, perfect.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
there are names to use, but I think overall, like just a bunch of similar pitchers. So if I need to remove somebody, I'd like to know. Um, I just haven't seen any real updates. I've been clicking around and trying to find any weather updates around the industry that I can.
yeah. I'm on like that Swish Analytics. I look through it, and nothing seems to really be of much concern.
Yeah, it looks like Baltimore's probably the one game that we need to really pay attention to for pitching,
Yeah,
just because people are going to use Dean Kramer. Kansas City kind of looks like the worst game, but I'm personally fading Gavin Williams because I feel like people are going to chase his last start.
yeah.
And he's such a reverse splits guy that I think Kansas City's lineup is not the best matchup for Gavin Williams. But other than that, I guess those are the two spots that I'd pay the most attention to.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot worried about weather here. Let's see. Let me switch over to pitching. Oh, didn't mean to do that. But you want to like talk about who your favorite pitchers are?
Um, I mean, I have four guys that I prefer above the rest. Brian Wu, just because it's a great K matchup. Dean Kramer, obviously against Colorado, since they just traded away McMahon, lineup slightly weaker. Even though I think his K upside drops without McMahon being in the lineup for Colorado.
He lost
Mackenzie Gore,
K's.
probably my favorite GPP guy against the Twins. I kind of like him for a bounce back, since I think people are kind of off of him after he got destroyed last time out. And then Evalde, feel like he's kind of being overlooked at less than 15%. We know that Atlanta's offense has been weak, and Evalde's arguably been a top 4 pitcher in all of baseball all season long.
Yeah,
So those are my main guys. I do like Zebby Matthews a bit as a GPP play. Logan Webb's getting a ton of ownership. Uh, I understand it in that ballpark. I just don't love the matchup against the Mets, even though they've struggled. Uh, And I think Pavetta is a guy that goes overlooked with huge upside.
What do you think about Soriano?
He didn't make my pool.
Just too dangerous, Seattle.
Yeah, I've been picking on Seattle with pitching recently, but they haven't been racking up the strikeouts like I kind of expected.
Yeah.
And Soriano's not a big K guy anyways, so he just feels like one of those guys that might finish in the 16 to 18 DK point range. And I feel like I don't really want to accept that on a 13-game slate. Like if it was a 4 or 5 gamer, then I'd feel much more inclined to just plug him in.
Yeah, I expect him to come in somewhere about 18 or so. It's, I can't just try to copy and paste what Chop does in his order. So we kind of know where you are pitching. I guess really the meat of the sandwich, what bats to play, what stacks to play is what everybody's here for.
Yeah, I spent some time at the leverage stacks today, and I was just looking at the implied run totals. Like, it looks like Baltimore's has dropped, and the Yankees have gone up. But when I first started my notes earlier, the Orioles had the highest implied run total.
Yeah,
and I couldn't figure out why. They're terrible against left-handed pitching. Like, I mean, extremely terrible. And then now it comes up.
It's Colorado.
Gunner's not in the lineup, so Baltimore fell way down my list. Like they're a tier 3 team. Where I feel like based on ownership numbers, they're the third highest on the leverage stack for total ownership. Just doesn't make sense to me a whole lot. The Yankees obviously going to be my number one team. Taijuan Walker just gets lit up by everybody. He's terrible against right-handed bats, and Judge and Stanton have hit him hard. So the Yankees are just the obvious one at the top. But even then, right now, we have them 66% owned combined.
Yeah.
That's really not all that high. That's 7.5% per player on average. So there's like no real chalk from an offensive standpoint.
Judge eats up
a lot of it.
A lot of that.
Judge and then Jazz, I think, because Jazz at second base, such a
Judge
weak
was showing
position
like
today.
28% ownership when I was doing my sheets or something like that, but it was adjusting. So I mean, him and Jazz are eating up a ton of that.
Yeah, Jazz should, just because second base is so weak. Obviously, he's expensive, so that might be tough for people, and people might just want to punt second base.
While Kramer be getting shoved in lineups.
But, I mean, Stanton's one of the highest owned bats, too. One of the top 6 right now in projected ownership. Grisham, and then Jazz. So it's 4 guys, but yet, I mean, that's taking up over 2/3 of the team ownership. So you can just get different with Yankee stacks and use some of those other guys. Wells, probably a pretty good way to be a little different. But yeah, to me, it's clearly the Yankees at the top. Trying to remember my list here.
You like the Dodgers or Boston?
So the Dodgers slid down. Dodgers and Boston both are tier 3. Dodgers been struggling a little too much for my liking.
Yeah.
Betts is out of the lineup for personal reasons. Freeman's been ice cold for a while. I think his average has plummeted from 340 for much of the season down to 280 something. He's just cold. So the overall offense for the Dodgers just isn't intriguing right now. So I'd rather just play Ohtani as a one-off, really. They did make my top 12 teams just because they are the Dodgers, but I don't feel great about them. Boston, similar. I'd almost rather just play Jarren Duran as a one-off, but they did make my top 12, kind of as the second to last team in my pool. Like Abreu striking out a ton. So I don't know. I prefer their left-handed bats, but they don't really have many dangerous left-handed bats anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
Marcelo Meyer went on the IL now too, so just not feeling the greatest about Boston either. Team that I did jump up the most compared to a lot of stuff is Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah.
Toronto not drawing much for ownership. We have them a combined 30% owned. As far as their overall numbers, like they've just been putting up runs. Their implied run total is right in the middle on the slate, which didn't make sense to me all that much. So they actually are my other tier 1 team with the Yankees.
Where they got, pretty good average salary. Decent.
Yeah, strong WOBA team picking up fantasy points. I just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me the way that they're kind of overlooked, even though they've been scoring runs and winning games. So I'm going to keep playing the team that's been scoring runs.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, Montero is not somebody to be worried about from a pitcher standpoint. So I have no
Do you have
problem.
a third tier 1 team or?
No, I only went with the 2. One point about Montero, he's given up 9 home runs at home in 41 and 2/3 innings. So a lot of home runs, which should help Toronto even more. But yeah, I generally just go with 2 tier 1 teams whenever possible.
Yeah. What do you think about the Cubs?
They made the tier 2.
2.
Hauser's obviously been respectable. I think some of the Cubs bats are kind of cold right now, but from a GPP standpoint, they have so much upside that like you just have to include them in your stacks. Their power, speed, everything. Like they rack up fantasy points quickly. Their big innings come with a lot of upside, a lot of hits, stolen bases, runs, and then home runs.
Yeah.
So they're tier 2. Just if they came in hot, they could have bumped Toronto from tier 1, but I'm going to stick with the hotter bats in Toronto.
Did Tampa make tier 2?
Tampa didn't even make
the
tier
list?
3. I don't like Tampa Bay on the road.
When they're on the road, yeah.
I don't like the matchup for most of their lineup. Nick Martinez is more of a reverse splits guy. So I do love Yandy Diaz and Junior Caminero. Caminero is a core play for me. But I like those 2 as a mini stack rather than fully stacking that team. Kind of similar in that game, Cincinnati didn't make my top 12 either. I'd kind of play them more as one-offs and try to home run hunt. Zach Littell's given up 24 home runs on the year, but he doesn't necessarily get lit up. So I'd rather just home run hunt with one-offs from Cincinnati as well. Yeah, Don, like if you look at the numbers and look up Tampa Bay splits, like their home road are pretty severe. They've struggled a lot more on the road. And then when you add in that Nick Martinez is a reverse splits guy against a left-hand heavy expected lineup, I haven't seen the full lineup, but I'd rather just one off them and home run hunt. Your San Diego team, San Diego actually made tier 2 for me.
Yeah, made tier 2 for me too.
It's been a long time since San Diego's made that high up because their offense has kind of struggled, but I will routinely pick on Miles Mikolas.
For I was just looking through some stuff. Do you have any interest in the White Sox in GPP?
I don't. I would have had more interest if Luis Robert was in the lineup against Shota. But I'm just not overly interested in that team. I like Shota a little too much.
Yeah,
I know the White
I'm
Sox have
really
scored a
on
few
Shota.
runs, but I'm just I mean Vargas has been in play too, but yeah, without Luis Robert, I think they ended up with a few more lefties in that lineup than I would have thought they would go with, which caught me off guard. So I'm not on the White Sox at this point. It's tough to get there on a 13-game slate too.
Yeah, it's so much to pick from. So
yeah, they have the lowest implied run total on the slate as well. You know, they're lower than Colorado.
yeah, I think they're a team I could grab a one-off if I'm not using Shota in that lineup or something.
Yeah, you could one-off Vargas, maybe one-off
That's
Slater
okay.
in the outfield. I mean, that Edgar Quero, I guess, would probably be my favorite one-off.
Yeah,
That catcher,
he's
cheap
still
enough,
pretty
and
cheap.
he hits lefties pretty well. But
yeah, great versus lefties, and he's great versus breaking ball.
Yeah. Don, I do have Minnesota as a tier 3 team. I'm playing a lot of Gore, but I do like Buxton. I do like Royce Lewis. Carlos Correa is getting on base. So they're enough in the Minnesota lineup that I do want to have stacks of them. I'm just not going too heavy on them. If I didn't think Junior Camanero's spot was so great, hitting in Cincinnati against a reverse splits guy, I think Royce Lewis would have made core. He's swinging it so well and he's cheap. So, but I just like Caminero a lot more at third base.
Let's see. There's another game. I oddly like Cleveland Kansas City game for some bats or some offense tonight.
I just don't like to trust Cleveland ever.
Yeah.
I could see
they're
it from
tough to
Kansas
trust.
City just because Gavin Williams is a reverse splits guy.
Yeah.
Salvador Perez has been on fire. Bobby Witt can break out at any point. Add in Garcia and maybe India, and then sprinkle in Vinny P. I think it makes sense.
And Salvy's been on fire.
Yeah. And I don't think his price has come up enough on DraftKings.
Yeah, I much prefer the Kansas City side. I could mini stack, because I mean, Jose Ramirez, not the single A pitcher, but the professional. Arguably the best hitter in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you could play him. I just don't really love the rest of the lineup. Like Waka's a veteran. Like he should not let Jose Ramirez beat him. But that should have been the case for much of the season as it is.
Let's see. Holy shit. I just saw Judge 4 for 14, 4 home runs.
Yeah. Strong BVP.
That's pretty good. Any other bats just stand out to you? There's like, be damned the stack, but these are guys I just love.
I mean, Nick Kurtz is impossible to not love. Same with Bryce Harper. I mean, Yandy Diaz, like I mentioned, has been good, strong. Obviously, Royce Lewis, Jose Ramirez, sure. Rafael Devers starting to heat up a little bit again, even though he's in San Francisco, and I hate that ballpark. I think he's in play for one-offs. I think shortstop overall is pretty weak today. So then Willie Adames, the way he's been hitting, even though, again, in San Francisco.
Matt Shaw, I have listed.
Matt Shaw did make my notes just because he's been on fire.
Yeah. And he's $2,500.
Yeah. I mean, 3,300 on DK. He's a little more. He's 300 more than Royce Lewis is. Royce Lewis is only 3K. And Royce has an OPS of over 1,500 over the last week. So, yeah, like I love Royce Lewis, but like I said, Caminero's just been in such a great spot that it's hard for me to ignore. Tonight's one of those nights where I wish DK had a utility spot because both those guys would be core then. But I'm going to keep riding Mickey Moniak, even though he's not in Coors.
He's in Coors Light.
Yeah, I mean his home road splits this year.
They change the goddamn fence every year in Baltimore.
Yeah. So Moniak at 3,800 on DK, the way that he's been.
And he's 29 on FanDuel. So.
Yeah. I'd play a ton of him on FanDuel. He'd be a great one-off on FanDuel.
And same game, I like Ramon Laureano.
I don't mind Laureano. I want to love Tyler O'Neill, but he suddenly can't hit left-handed pitching either, which is really weird because he's traditionally destroyed left-handed pitchers.
I just don't have enough trust in Baltimore to 5-man stack him. I mean, I had him as tier 2, but that was this morning. So I think
it's just so hard because they've been so bad against left-handed pitching. And now you don't have Gunnar in the lineup tonight. So, like, I don't know.
I'd probably mini stack him, maybe some Holiday and Loreno or Urias.
Yeah, the problem is Freeland doesn't really give up home runs.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue is people want to stack against Freeland, but, like, home runs don't happen for whatever reason.
Hit home runs. So
right. Well, that helps. Don asked about the Rangers pitchers, Evalde. I mentioned him. To me, he should be higher owned. I think I'm looking at my notes right now, and we haven't projected under 15% ownership. The way that he's pitched this season, plus the way that Atlanta's offense has been so flat, I feel like he should be double that. Like he should be the chalkiest pitcher on the slate to me, not Logan Webb.
How much is Evalde on DK?
9,600.
Oh.
So he's less than Shota, less than Nick Pivetta, less than Brian Wu, just $300 more than Logan Webb.
Yeah, he's in the 10K crew on FanDuel.
Problem is, you can get to any of the 10K pitchers on FanDuel fairly easily.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to bang out a lineup on FanDuel and feel great about it.
Yeah.
Do we have anybody else in tier 2 or, we can make this a Friday night quickie and talk about some home runs and
tier two was I also included Oakland and Houston. Springs gives up enough home runs against Houston. Problem is I just don't love the Houston lineup overall. Like Victor Carantini hitting third is not attractive to me.
No, it isn't.
Oakland, Ryan Gusto's been decent, and I actually prefer right-handed bats in Houston, but Nick Kurtz has been so good. Shane Langolier's strong, and then Rooker. Problem is everybody else on Oakland, or Sacramento, I should say, is struggling. So it makes it tougher to fully stack them. So a lot of times tier 3 teams for me are teams that like I'd prefer to stack 3 or 4 guys, but I force in a 4th or 5th just to make it a full stack.
Yeah.
Peter in the chat, favorite out of those, I think for GPP purposes, is going to be the Twins, then the Astros, then the Royals. Just because like the Twins have Buxton and Royce Lewis, who are 2 of the guys I'm highest on tonight. Twins and Astros ended up tier 3 for me. Royals didn't end up in my stack list. Don, the Yankees are tier 1. They're my top overall stack, like much of the field. Harlock, favorite single entry stack for me might be Toronto tonight. they're not getting the ownership that I think they deserve based on A, the actual matchup, and B, how well they've been scoring runs. Like the
And
entire
their
lineup's been
pricing allows you
contributing.
to
Right, and
make some
they're
studs
cheap
at
enough.
the other,
So then you get, especially on FanDuel, like you then can play Woo, who goes 6+ innings every time out, or you can play Evalde, or you can gamble with Pavetta and hope for the upside. Like you can play one of the main pitchers for sure, get a 4-man Toronto stack, and then probably include Judge and Jazz as a 2-man or something, or Judge as a 1-off, or Ohtani as a 1-off. Because Ohtani's homered in 5 straight, so of course Ohtani's in a great spot.
And especially we gave you a couple like $2,500, if guys for FanDuel, if you wanted that salary for Jazz and Judge too.
Right. Yeah. I don't even know what Jazz's price is on FanDuel, but I mean, or like you can use Caminero as a 1-off, who's one of my favorite guys too. Red Sox are tier 3 for me. I don't love their overall lineup. I'd prefer them as a mini stack, but Jazz is expensive on FanDuel too, huh? So
Royce Lewis is $2,700 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like you said, when you got a Will Wagner at 2,300, and then you can probably easily throw in your Vlad Bowen, George.
Yeah, I mean, Peter, I'm not a huge race stack guy tonight. Don't like them on the road. Don't like them as a stack against the reverse splits and Nick Martinez. I really love the Rays mini stack of Yandy and Junior Caminero. But aside from that, I don't love the rest. I mean, you can slide in like Chandler Simpson, who's going to be fine. But I don't feel super great about the Rays on the road. Peter, I am playing the O's. They're the last team in my top 12. I fully main stack 12 teams on every main slate, and I rank them in tiers, and the O's are the last team in my list. I don't understand why they're getting so much ownership. I don't understand why their implied run total is so high. There's a lot that I don't understand, so I almost feel like I should fade them, but I'm not, just in case.
Yeah.
My favorite off the wall stack, man. If I compare it to our projected ownership, I think my favorite off the wall stack would be the A's. Like I just refreshed it, and we have the A's as the lowest owned team on DK. It's hard to not play them because of all their home run upside.
Yeah,
as a stack.
And that's what we're looking for, a home run.
Yeah, like they can definitely struggle, but they also could hit 5 home runs, and that low ownership, I'll gladly take the A's. That makes me really wish I put them in tier 2, but I'm going to keep them tier 3 for now. But
yeah, keep them tier 3.
I'll look at our FanDuel number. They're second lowest owned on FanDuel behind the White Sox at a combined 10% owned. We have them at 8% on DK, which seems just impossibly low. But yeah, the A's at that ownership, I will gladly go overweight on them, and just hope that all the home runs they hit tonight aren't by Kurtz and Rooker. Soderstrom or Butler wakes up, or Wilson or whoever. Just somebody other than Kurtz and Rooker goes off. Don, it's Kramer. Kramer should easily be in your pitcher pool. Should never be Kyle Freeland. I know the Orioles struggle against left-handed pitching, but Freeland just allows plenty of base runners, isn't a K guy, I think his ceiling is just capped way too much for me to want to include him on a 13-game slate.
Yeah, this year the Orioles have struggled to get out of the dugout.
No, they obviously could wake up at any point, but
yeah, I mean, it's just been a rough year.
Peter, Toronto is one of my favorite stacks. They're my other tier 1 team with the Yankees.
And I love the Cubs tonight.
And the Cubs are always in play because of their
power.
They're like the A's power wise, but then the Cubs also add stolen bases and walks, and like they're just always on base, picking up fantasy points almost every inning, and that's huge for us for stacks. FanDuel pitcher, I'm just spending up for Wu Evalde. Maybe gambling with Gore because he has the upside. A lot of times my pitcher pool on FanDuel would be so much smaller just because you don't have to force it because pricing isn't as tight. As I mentioned on the video every day, like the pricing's so soft on FanDuel compared to DraftKings. You can compete for GPP wins by playing the most expensive couple pitchers on FanDuel every single night. Peter, I don't mind the M's against Soriano. He doesn't give up a lot of home runs. That's my big worry. And I don't really love the Giants in that ballpark, even though Devers and Adames are swinging it decently. They're just tough teams to stack. DK pitchers, when you're going with a high-end stack like the Cubs, I'm using Jose Barrios at 7,400 against Detroit because Detroit can strike out, and their offense has been pretty cold in July. And then I'm using Zebby Matthews because Washington's been pretty ice cold as well, and he's a big K guy at 7,100. Those are really the two cheapest guys I'm using right now. Dean Kramer at 8K, I think is probably too cheap for the matchup, even though his strikeout upside took a hit without Ryan McMahon in Colorado's lineup. I do like Springer as a home run call. A decent amount for Toronto tonight. KC is not I keep hearing that KC might be the roughest game on the night, which is fine with me. I'm not overly invested in that game other than like Sal Perez, a little bit of Bobby Witt, and some Jose Ramirez.
So you mentioned Springer. Who else do you like for home runs?
A few of my guys tonight are. Let me bring up my drafted squad. Junior Caminero is probably one of my favorites aside from the obvious, in Judge, Ohtani, and Harper. Yeah. Like Springer quite a bit. I do like Royce Lewis. I like Laureano. I like Jarren Duran. And Adolis Garcia is kind of the last guy.
I like them. I had like Judge, obviously, which we can't really talk about. Springer, Manny Machado.
Manny.
And then they just hit like Laureano. I don't have, I think, anybody bet shit crazy today, but.
No, I think my lowest odds, or I don't know, best odds to bet would be like Royce Lewis, I think. I didn't look at what like Addison Barger's numbers were, or like Joey Loperfido for Toronto. Those are guys that I like recently, but more dart than anything. I can give you I could go each team by team and probably give you one or two guys that I prefer. Baltimore, Laureano, and Westberg. Philly New York game could see 7 home runs, and I wouldn't be shocked.
Right.
I'm kind of
Junior and
shocked I don't like
Torres,
more
bro.
in the Tampa Bay Cincinnati game for home runs, just because that ballpark is so solid. It's just Cincinnati's lineup's so ugly. I don't understand what's up with their lineup. And then, their hottest outfielder has been Jake Fraley. He's not in the lineup tonight, which I didn't understand. So, yeah, I do think there are going to be quite a few home runs hit tonight, though.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet.
I mean, half the games are 83 and up in temperature wise, so like all of them are warm enough. And overall, the pitching is just mediocre, I think. So there's definitely going to be home runs to be had.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think I'll throw Suarez, Caminero. Who is your top guy again?
I mean,
I know Springer.
Caminero is probably my top guy, but
Top guy.
I mean Royce Lewis, Harper,
Yeah, like
Adalis, Springer.
when you got a bunch of guys like that, and I did it the other night. If you want to take them all straight, and I kind of like we were talking about with ladders, if you can get one guy to kind of break even. If one home run can kind of break you even, throw something tiny on a parlay or whatever. And I like to round robin them a little bit. I don't throw a ton on you, but
I like round robin or what they talk about in horse betting is boxing. Like it's a 2-man or a 3-man, and you just rotate it around. And if you do 3-mans, like you hit one of them, you're making money for the night. You do the 2-mans, you get 3 of them, you probably end up breaking even or whatever, depending on how many you do. Yeah, that's definitely a route I prefer. Would go that way. I prefer the K ladders whenever possible.
yeah,
I
when
just
they're
don't
low
really
enough
see
to
much
start.
tonight. Don, the 3 to 4 bats I would take from the Blue Jays would be Springer, Vlad, Addison Barger, and then it's Bichette or Loperfido probably. But like Lucas has been swinging it pretty well and leading off. Kirk's their leading hitter. There's still enough guys within Toronto, but I want Barger, Vlad, and Springer in my Blue Jay stacks.
I don't mind Will
Yankees
Wagner either.
Yeah, I mean Wagner's been swinging
base.
it too,
Yeah.
so he's a way to be different. Yankees stacks, it's Judge and Jazz for sure, and then Stanton, and then it's probably Bellinger for me because people seem to just overlook Bellinger, even though he swings it so well. It's just tough to do the Yankee stack because they're all expensive.
Yeah.
At least on DK, Jazz is like 5,400 or something. It's like ridiculous. So they're just tougher to do.
Said 3,700 on FanDuel. Naylor, Seattle right now?
Yeah.
Well, it's about 6:15. I think unless you got anything, we can maybe start building some lineups.
No, I think we're good to go. I got to start running the DS and figuring out what I'm going to do.
That sounds like a plan to me. Guys, thank you.
All right.
Sorry y'all to put up with me today and not Chop. But at least you got Raz, so it's a win on the end. So we'll see you Monday, I believe, probably Raz and Chop.
Yep, we'll be here Monday.
Check out the merch shop. Get something. Just don't order samples because they suck. But yeah, go ahead, click that merch tab and get you something nice for you or your lady. Or yourself. Yeah, whatever. All right. I'm running out of juice. So
All right.
See y'all Monday. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Raz.
See you guys.